Have you ever walked into a room and felt like you had to prove you belonged there, while someone else just walked in and the room adjusted around them? You didn't do anything wrong. You just never learned the quiet habits that make people take you seriously. Habits that have nothing to do with being loud or cold or in control of everyone else. You've rehearsed apologies for things that weren't your fault. You've laughed too fast at a joke that wasn't funny just to keep the mood light. You've said, "It's fine," when it wasn't. You give people your full attention, effort, and patience. And somehow you're still the one whose opinion gets skipped over, whose time gets treated like it's free. Somewhere along the way, you learned that being agreeable would keep you safe. But safety and respect are not the same thing, and a part of you has always known that. You've watched someone say almost nothing in a room full of noise and still walk out with everyone remembering exactly what they said. You've wondered what they know that you don't. It isn't confidence in the way you think. It's something quieter, a handful of small, repeated habits built one ordinary day at a time. So here's the question sitting underneath all of this, the one you may never have said out loud. Is it possible to be respected without becoming someone harder, colder, less like yourself? What if respect was never about being feared in the way you imagine, but about becoming someone whose word, time, and boundaries simply can't be ignored? What if the room adjusts around people not because they demand it, but because they never gave anyone a reason not to take them seriously in the first place? Picture an ordinary Tuesday. Someone interrupts you mid-sentence in a meeting, and the old you would smile, shrink the thought down, let it go. Imagine, just once, you pause instead and finish your thought anyway, without apology. Notice what happens in that silence. Nobody laughs at you. Nobody corrects you. The room simply waits, because you didn't ask permission to finish your thought. You just did. Now picture a different moment. A friend cancels on you for the third time this month again. The old you would say, "No worries," and mean it less and less each time. Imagine instead you say calmly, "That doesn't work for me anymore," and nothing else. You notice how uncomfortable that short sentence feels to say. You notice too that the world doesn't end. The friendship either adjusts or you learn something important about it. Imagine one more scene. You're asked to take on work that isn't yours again because you always say yes. This time, you let the silence sit for 2 full seconds before you answer. 2 seconds is nothing. 2 seconds is everything. In that pause, you're not performing power. You're simply no longer auto-completing everyone else's sentences with your own comfort. These are not dramatic moments. No one raises their voice, no one storms out. That's what surprises you most. Respect is built in small, almost boring seconds, not the big confrontations you always feared you'd have to have. And slowly, without announcing it to anyone, you notice people choosing their words a little more carefully around you. Not because they're afraid of you, because they've learned you mean what you say. There's a reason this works, and it isn't magic. Psychologists call it the consistency principle. People calibrate respect based on patterns, not single moments. One boundary means little. A boundary you keep again and again becomes a fact about you. Your brain does something similar when it reads other people. It isn't looking for the loudest voice in the room. It's scanning for congruence. Does this person's words match their actions and pace? Congruence reads as trustworthy, and trustworthy reads as worth taking seriously. This is also why over-explaining quietly costs you status. Every extra sentence of justification signals underneath the words, "Please don't be upset with me." And people register that signal even when they can't name it. Silence works the opposite way. A short pause before you answer gives your words weight because it signals you actually considered them. You weren't just reacting to keep the peace. None of this is manipulation. It's regulation of your own nervous system first. When you stop rushing to smooth over every uncomfortable moment, you're no longer controlled by the fear of other people's reactions. That's the part most people miss. The habit was never really about them. It was about you no longer needing their approval to feel steady in your own decisions. Over time, this steadiness becomes its own kind of signal, the same way a calm room makes everyone in it a little calmer without a single word being said. So the habits that make people fear and respect you were never about being harder to reach. They were about becoming harder to move while still being completely reachable. Fear, in this sense, isn't dread. It's the small, healthy caution people carry when they know you have limits, the same way you're careful with something that matters. And respect isn't given because you demanded it. It's given because you stopped performing for it. This is the part that quietly changes everything. The moment you stop needing to be liked by everyone in the room, you become easier to actually like, because people are finally responding to you, not your fear of losing them. It costs something, this shift. A few uncomfortable silences, a few relationships that were only ever built on your compliance. But what's left afterward is sturdier, because it's real. So think back to the last time you shrank a sentence to keep someone comfortable. What would it have cost you, really, to let it stand exactly as it was? Think about the people in your life who already speak to you carefully, who already keep their word with you. Notice that you didn't win that by being the loudest person they know. You won it by being the most consistent. Ask yourself, honestly, is the approval you're chasing actually respect, or just the temporary relief of nobody being upset with you? Sit with that question for a moment before you keep watching. It matters more than it sounds like it does. Most people never ask it. That alone might be why most people never change what happens after they leave the room. Here's what actually shifts. You stop rehearsing your sentences before you say them. You start finishing them instead, plainly, without the extra apology stitched onto the end. You start noticing the 2-second pause and using it on purpose. Not to seem powerful, just to actually decide, instead of defaulting to whatever keeps things comfortable for everyone but you. You start saying less and meaning all of it. And you notice people begin repeating your words back to you differently, like they matter now, because you've shown them they do. This isn't a personality transplant. It's the same you, minus the constant translation of yourself into something smaller and easier to overlook. One boundary, one finished sentence, one 2-second pause. That's the whole method, repeated ordinarily until it becomes who you are instead of something you're trying to perform. You don't need to become someone unrecognizable to be taken seriously. You already have everything this requires. You've just been spending it all on making other people comfortable. Redirect even a little of that energy back toward yourself, and the room doesn't get colder. It gets more honest. And people, more often than you'd expect,
respect honesty more than they ever respected accommodating.
That's not a loss. That's the beginning of being someone whose yes finally means something, because your no does too. So here's the only question left. The next time someone interrupts your sentence, cancels on you again, or asks you to carry something that was never yours to carry, what small, quiet habit will you finally let yourself keep? Because somewhere, right now, there's a version of you the room is already waiting to adjust around. You just haven't finished your sentence yet. If this felt like it was describing you a little too accurately, that's exactly the point. If you want more of this, the small, quiet psychology behind how people see you, hit like on this video and subscribe so the next one finds you.